So, religious knowledge and language. Let us see what has been the questions asked in the last 20-30 years, and then we will start studying it. Read question number 5 again.
Explain the difference between the cognitivist and non-cognitivist approaches to the religious languages with reference to the statement, God exists.
So basically, they want to know what is the response of cognitivist and what is the response of non-cognitivist with reference to this statement, God exists. So God exists, this is what kind of statement? This is a metaphysical statement or a religious statement. So this is basically the religious knowledge. Now in your syllabus with respect to religious knowledge, it is mentioned religious knowledge is cognitivist. That is, you are getting some knowledge out of it. Just like statements of science, statements of mathematics, statements of religion are also giving you some sort of knowledge. There are certain philosophers who believe that you get knowledge out of religious statements. There are some who believe that religious statements are non-cognitivist. अब इस नॉन कॉग्निटिविस्ट में भी दो लोग आते हैं. एक तो कहते हैं कि जो that religious knowledge is non-cognitivist and meaningless. Non-cognitivist, they are not giving you any knowledge and these statements are meaningless. And some say that they are cognitivist and have meaning. तो अगर आप यहाँ पे बात करें कि हमको सिलेबस में क्या देखना है, religious language, what are the philosophical approaches? One approach is that it is cognitivist. That means religion is giving you, or religious statements are giving you factually significant knowledge. Who are the major propounders? Hick, Crombie. According to them, religious language is having some kind of knowledge. Second are those who are saying non-cognitivist. They are not giving you any kind of knowledge. But even in this, there are some who are saying it is meaningless. And who will be saying that religious statements are meaningless or metaphysical statements are nonsense? किसकी statement होगी ये? Yes. Logical positivists like Ayer, Flew, Findlay, they will be saying that religious statements are non-cognitivist and meaningless. Whereas some will be saying they are definitely non-cognitivist but meaningful. For example, name one contemporary Western philosopher who will call it meaningful. In his later part of his philosophy,
Sir Wittgenstein.
Wittgenstein. In his theory of meaning and use, there are also some like here, his Blick theory. There is Braithwaite. Braithwaite's moral assertions. And there is also Tillich, Paul Tillich, where he said religious language is symbolic in nature. So they are the two philosophical approaches to religious language. एक बीच का भी approach है. Somebody is also saying it is quasi-cognitivist. And here we will primarily study about religious knowledge is or religious language is analogical, or analogical maybe he will be talking about whether it is equivocal or univocal, and this person will be Saint Thomas Aquinas. So यही आपके सिलेबस में भी है. सिलेबस इज ऑल्सो मेंशनिंग रिलीजियस लैंग्वेज, कॉग्निटिविस्ट, नॉन कॉग्निटिविस्ट, एंड and analogical and symbolic. Analogical में भी equivocal. Equivocal means, what is the meaning of equivocal? Anybody? Yes. Same word is used to mean different things. For example, the word gay may mean joyful, homosexual, and also analogical. Sorry, univocal. A word is used having the same meaning in all context. But Aquinas will say it is a religious word can be used univocally, equivocally, or analogically, and he will say it is used analogically. Because neither univocal not nor equivocal, he will say religious language or statements about God is analogical. तो analogical, symbolic, cognitivist and non-cognitivist यही आपके सिलेबस में है, and you will always find questions revolving around these topics only. अभी हम ये भी डिस्कस करेंगे कि रिलीजियस स्टेटमेंट में डिबेट क्या है. Are we trying to prove God exists? Are we trying to give religious statements? Are we trying to make statements of religion? Or we are simply bothered about what is the status or nature of religious language? Or what is the status and nature of religious statements? Okay. तो एक क्वेश्चन हमने देख लिया 2022 में, कॉग्निटिविस्ट और नॉन कॉग्निटिविस्ट अप्रोच में डिफरेंस बताइए विद द स्टेटमेंट गॉड एग्जिस्ट. सो कॉग्निटिविस्ट क्या कहेंगे? दिस स्टेटमेंट इज व्हाट? यस, it is having
meaning.
It is having they are factually significant statement, or they are giving statements which have knowledge in them. They call it factually significant, and we will see that Base Mitchell talks about parable of resistance movement. Crombie talks about the defense of religious language. He talks about the histology of verification against the verification theory. All those things we will be studying in cognitivist. नॉन कॉग्निटिविस्ट में दोनों लोगों को लेंगे. एक जो कहते हैं कि नॉन कॉग्निटिविस्ट है पर मीनिंगलेस है, एक कहते हैं कि नॉन कॉग्निटिविस्ट है बट मीनिंगफुल है. ओके. Now come to 2024-23 question. Discuss Wittgenstein's view about the non-cognitivist nature of religious language. Any doubt in this? What will Wittgenstein say? Yes? Anybody? So once Wittgenstein is mentioned, we will consider early Wittgenstein's philosophy. Here he will say what? Religious statements are? Yes? Nonsense or meaningless. On the other side, there is later Wittgenstein. Early Wittgenstein will be talking on picture theory of meaning. Later Wittgenstein, in which philosophy or in which theory? Yes, बताइए. in meaning and use. He will say that religious statements are meaningful in the religious sphere. Remember, we had given that example, God saved me. What is the meaning of those two statements? In the religious sphere and outside of the religious sphere? Outside of the religious sphere, we will be saying, doctor saved me. But in the religious sphere, when we are saying God saved me, it's not that God gave medicine. So he says, don't go for the meaning, go for the use. And religious statements are useful in the religious sphere. And he goes on to critique private technical language. So Wittgenstein is definitely a common theme asked in this topic. Now 2024 question. Explain the analogical nature of religious language. So who will we be writing here? Yes.
Aquinas.
Thomas Aquinas. So you see that in this, very, very direct questions are asked. This is again a very low hanging fruit. इसमें syllabus में जितना मैंने करवा दिया, whatever is written in your 6 to 7 pages notes, 100% question will be coming from that, and you just have to copy paste it, not add anything, not subtract anything. Now let us see questions before this. Before we start studying, अब इसमें religious experience, knowledge and language, two topics are mixed here. Religious experience is also mixed. हमको religious knowledge और language का देखना है. Religious knowledge में we will be also studying the role of reason, revelation and faith. Another topic is mentioned. What is the role of reason, revelation and faith? Okay, so there is that debate also. उसके भी question यहाँ पे दिए हुए हैं इस topic में. But right now we are doing only religious knowledge and language. We are not doing religion, source of religious knowledge, that is reason, revelation and faith. उसको नहीं कर रहे हैं हम, although यहाँ पे question mentioned. देखिए, third question. This is from religious knowledge and language. What is non-cognitivist theory of religious language? Explain critically in light of Braithwaite's view. So what is non-cognitivist theory?
Meaningless.
Yeah. Is it necessarily meaningless for everyone?
No.
No. Non-cognitivist क्या कहेंगे? Religious knowledge is not conveying factual information, but the information they are conveying, can it be meaningful and meaningless? Factual नहीं है. चलिए, statements of science की तरह नहीं है, observable information नहीं है, but can it be meaningful? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. भाई जैसे for example, your parents are telling that शाम को 8 बजे घर आ जाना, बाहर सेफ नहीं है. Now factual information is coming back at 8 p.m. having any factual basis? Yes.
No, sir.
Yes,
No.
sir.
No. But is it meaningful or meaningless?
Meaningful.
Meaningful because you know that less number of people are outside during the night. Chances are of more non-social elements active. सो मीनिंगफुल में हमने इस क्वेश्चन में ब्रैथवेट का व्यू देखना है. ब्रैथवेट हैज सेड दैट religious statements are moral assertions with a story. Moral assertions backed by a story. Okay. Now 2021, one more question. Explain the symbolic nature of religious language with special reference to Paul Tillich. So religious language is symbolic in nature. Symbolic का मतलब, for example, if I ask you to represent the Communist Party, can you represent it through a symbol?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. What would be the symbol of the Communist Party? Or for that matter, any political party in India, does it have a symbol?
Yes.
Yes. What is that symbol? So those are signs, not symbols. Tillich will be making a distinction between signs and symbols. Although for a communist, that sign or that party's sign, symbol, they are able to participate. See, we will understand what is the difference between sign and symbol. एक बस major difference है कि जो symbol जो reality represent करता है, उसमें आप participate करते हो. It cannot be, that symbol cannot be replaced. It is basically a representation of that reality. You derive some kind of power from that symbol. जैसे मैंने मान लीजिए ये बनाया. So people are, or for example, linga is used to represent Lord Shiva, or an empty throne, it is used to represent Buddha. So these are symbols. People participate in that symbol and they try to connect with the reality backed by that. Signs क्या है? They are arbitrary, conventional, and they have, or their meanings, they can be also replaced by that. For example, आप देखेंगे कि ट्रैफिक सिग्नल में we do not say it is red sign symbol, we say it is red sign. कई सारे ट्रैफिक सिग्नल्स ऐसे होते हैं, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल ऐसे लिखा हुआ रहता है. क्या मीनिंग है इसका? नो यू टर्न अलाउड. इट इज अ साइन. इन दिस ऐसा है क्या कि आप ये, डू यू गेट एनी काइंड ऑफ पावर और एनी काइंड ऑफ like participation in this sign? Yes, unless you are IPS Abhishek, he gets power from traffic signs. Or even in language there are various forms of sign. For example, if Pragyan comes to meet me and I'm sitting cross armed, that is considered a sign of? If somebody is sitting across you cross armed, that is a sign of? What is the non verbal cue? Disagreement. कहते हैं ना कि उन्होंने हमसे खुले गले से मिला, राइट? और या उन्होंने हमसे गले लगा के मिला. So you are welcoming someone with, when you are open armed. When you are cross armed, you are having some kind of friction or some kind of disagreement. So these are all signs. तो पॉल जो है वो कहते हैं कि रिलीजियस लैंग्वेज इज सिंबॉलिक इन नेचर. फॉर एग्जांपल, आपका जो राष्ट्रीय ध्वज है, इज इट अ साइन और इज इट अ सिंबल? यस,
The symbol.
सिंबल.
Symbol.
Yes. If somebody is for example, the Khalistanis, they disrespect the Indian flag, we feel insulted, we feel hurt, we feel avengeful, right? Yes.
Yes.
So any attack on the flag is considered an attack on the nation. So he will be saying that religious knowledge is symbolic in nature, and he makes a distinction between signs and symbols. And he says in all religions there are kind of symbols. What are the features of those symbols? All that part we will be studying in Paul Tillich. We will also be studying the criticism of that. Okay. And Tillich से पहले भी हम देखेंगे कि that some people are saying religious knowledge is, तीन बातें कहते हैं टिलिच से पहले, कन्विक्शनल, मिथ एंड सिंबॉलिक. ये तीन पार्ट पढ़ना है. सिंबॉलिक पॉल टिलिच कहते हैं. कन्विक्शनल में देयर इज अ फिलोसोफर ज़ुएरडग. ही विल बी सेइंग रिलीजियस नॉलेज इज कन्विक्शनल इन नेचर. कन्विक्शन है उसमें, आप उसमें फुल्ली कमिटेड होते हैं उस नॉलेज को लेके. एंड देयर इज अ प्रोफेसर लीरॉय, ही सेज रिलीजियस नॉलेज इज मिथ. ओके. जैसे स्टेटमेंट ऑफ रामायण, this why Ramayana is enacted every year for thousands of years. Yes. Why Ramayana is still valid for us? It is a story of a king whose wife got kidnapped. He went on to kill a demon and get back his wife. Why that story is so much significant for us?
Sir, because of the lessons it provides us.
Yes, because of the significance it has, or because of the answers it gives even today. It is called Ram Charitramanas. It is the story of celebrating the character of Rama. Despite being a god, despite all options closed in front of him, the only way to reach the kingdom, everything is at a very difficult moment, and with the clock ticking every second, he still asks or prays to the ocean to give him the way. So through that prayer, what is he representing? Yes. He is representing that dialogue, diplomacy, prayers should be your first resort. Only when the dialogues are not being heard to, only when the prayers are not being heard to, he shows his strength, what he is capable of doing. With one arrow, it is said that he could have dried the entire ocean. But he did not want collateral damage. So he requests to one of his elements of nature which is created by him, but he does not command it. Unlike today's leaders, they think the people who have elected them are their servants, rather than them being the servants of those who have elected them. Just see how the political class of certain parties talk to the followers, especially the dynasts, and how they take criticisms. And what is the most important myth of modern day today? आज के समय का सबसे बड़ा मिथ क्या है? Which everybody believes in, everybody participates and lives by that myth. Yes. The most extraordinary modern day myth is जिससे सब कुछ चल रहा है. Isn't it simply a piece of paper with certain things printed on it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. भाई सोना है तो फिर भी gold, you are having some kind of metal in your hand. But what are you having here? When you are having suppose a 2000, अब तो चला गया 2000 रुपए का नोट. वो जो नोट है in itself, is it 2000 rupees worth? Hardly it would take 10, 20, 30, 40 rupees, right? Of its value. Or money in your bank account. If you check your account and ऐसे करके अकाउंट मेंशन्ड है, मेरा नहीं है, आप ही लोग का होगा इतना बड़ा. These are just numbers mentioned, right? Yes. But you go to night sleeping thinking that this much of money is in your bank account, this much of money is in your Almira, this much of money is in your land, etc. So most important modern day myth is money. So Professor Leroy will talking, and finally religious knowledge is symbolic, where we will be studying about Paul Tillich. Okay. ट्वेंटी का क्वेश्चन देखिए, डज रिलीजियस लैंग्वेज कैरी cognitivist content? Elucidate in detail. So here we will be writing the views of Hick and Crombie. Question number 8. Discuss whether religious symbols lead to mysticism. So it is combining of two topics, religious experience and religious language. Religious experience में one form of religious experience is mysticism. You will have to combine it with religious symbols. For example, linga, is it having any kind of form? Even in from personalistic aspect, can we say linga is having some kind of form? Yes. There is Lord Shiva represented in personalistic form, but he is also represented through linga, through trident. ऐसे कई सारे symbols है. In the mystic traditions, he is represented by a trident, by linga. So what is the feature of mysticism we will be seeing? क्योंकि mysticism में भी लोग कहते हैं कि उनको knowledge मिली. The mystical experience also gives knowledge. They say that this knowledge is noetic in nature. So we will try to see the difference or the comparison between religious knowledge and mysticism, combination of two topics. Question 11. Brathwaite's non-cognitivist theory of religious language. Is it repeated in 2024-23? Yes. In what sense secular use of language is different from religious use of language? So secular use of language will be cognitivist or non-cognitivist? Yes. Whereas religious knowledge, it can be cognitivist, it can be non-cognitivist. In non-cognitivist also, it can be of two forms. It can be meaningful and it can be meaningless. Meaningful and meaningless. Next question, is not the language of analogies more confusing and the language of symbols more unintelligible? Evaluate in the case of religious language. So basically the criticism of religious language is analogical and religious symbols are intelligible. क्रिटिसिज्म दोनों का देखना है हमको यहाँ पे. How do you formulate religious languages as non-cognitivist? Same question. What is meant by saying religious language is non-cognitivist? 2013, 2014, same questions. Can religious language be said to be verifiable? So, who will be saying that religious language is neither empirically verifiable nor analytic? Yes. कौन कहेगा ये? कंटेम्पररी वेस्टर्न फिलोसोफर. What is A.J. Ayer's verification theory, Rituraj? Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir. अभी याद नहीं, sir.
याद नहीं. Very bad. So Ayer says
Sorry,
what in
sir.
his verification theory? Only that statement is meaningful, which is either empirically verifiable. Through experience you can verify, or it is analytic in nature. Analytic statement का empirical verification नहीं होता है, only by the meaning of the sentences. So AJ Ayer का व्यू लिखेंगे, यहाँ पर हम एक काउंटर व्यू भी लिखेंगे, which you have not studied in contemporary Western and which we will be studying here. That is Hicks escalation of or estalogy of verification. Basically, it is a critique of Ayer's verification theory. He will say that the theological concepts are falsifiable and therefore they are empirically verifiable. Analyze Paul Tillich's statement that symbolic language alone is able to express the ultimate. So we will say, is it the only way to express the ultimate? Is symbol the only way? Or will we say there is conviction, there is myth, and there is analogy? There are various ways to express the ultimate, through an analogy, through myth, through convictional statements. Discuss the cognitivist nature of religious language. Religious language is not dependent on natural language for an analogy and symbol to work. Why not treat religious language as specified language like telegraphic language? So again, the debate is whether religious knowledge is cognitivist or non-cognitivist. Okay. Is religious language symbolic? So basically, therefore, whatever we discussed in this, इतना ही पार्ट हमारा सिलेबस में है. Religious language is cognitivist, non-cognitivist, and quasi-cognitivist. Cognitivist like Hick and Crombie. Non-cognitivist में एक कहेंगे कि वो factually information देता भी नहीं है और meaningless information है. For example, Ayer, Flew, and Frindley. But some people will be saying, while they may not be giving statements with regard to actual state of affairs in this world, but definitely they are meaningful. In which we will study Hare's big theory, Braithwaite's moral assertions backed by a story, Paul Tillich religious language is symbolic, and in quasi-cognitivist, we will be studying St. Thomas Aquinas. तो सिलेबस याद हो गया सभी को?